This is the CBS Evening News with Walter Cronkite.
Good evening. The world has never known a day quite like today. It faced the considerable uncertainties and dangers of the worst nuclear power plant accident of the atomic age. And the horror tonight is that it could get much worse. It is not an atomic explosion that is feared. The experts say that is impossible. But the specter was raised of perhaps the next most serious kind of nuclear catastrophe, a massive release of radioactivity. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission cited that possibility with an announcement that, while it is not likely, the potential is there for the ultimate risk of a meltdown at the 3 Mile Island atomic power plant outside Harrisburg, Pennsylvania.
At this Fukushima Daiichi plant.
Fukushima right now and where they stand at this moment.
Fukushima nuclear power plant
at Fukushima of the radiation levels, which again were too high.
Fukushima, where the crippled nuclear reactor is.
Good things are there's more and more information out and available to everybody than there ever has been. It used to be 3 television networks and us and your local newspaper, and that was it. And you could read the news magazines or whatever. But basically, that's how people got their news. And it was all shared news. 90% of the people, more than 90% of the people at a given, at an early evening time had watched one of these 3 nightly news, you know, Huntley, Brinkley, Cronkite, whatever. And so they all had the same, they all got the same information, and then they started their arguments about it afterward based on the same set of facts. Now, what's happened now is there's so many different ways to get the information in so many different formats. And some people get their information on Jon Stewart, which is made-up news. Some people get their information on blogs, which is mostly opinionated news. Very little original reporting goes on. And there's cable news, and there's radio shows. There's all kinds of things, all kinds of vehicles for getting information about things that matter. And that's a good thing.
What do you think the bedrock principle of good reporting is that maybe some of the cable stations are missing right now and the networks, CBS, have done so well in the past? What is the bedrock principle?
Well, it's the old principles of print journalism. It's good journalism. It's honesty, fairness, truth, and totality of the story, telling both sides of a controversial story. All of those things should be practiced in every story that is carried on the air, as they once were in the better newspapers. Even they have slipped a little bit in recent times. They have lost readership with these same various pressures, to the degree that they're kind of jazzing up the news, if you please.
In other words, anybody can have any opinion they want, but you can't have any set of facts that you want. And there should be a platform of facts from which everything else flows.
But I'm wondering if there's something more, that over 230,000 Haitians died less than a year ago, that 1.5 million Haitians are homeless still. That has disappeared from the front pages of the newspapers and news coverage on TV, and I'm wondering if it's because there's an assumption, yeah, that's going to happen there. That wouldn't happen here.
Mm. Yeah, and we faced that. You know, we saw that with Katrina,
right?
And it was something that was so striking to me. For example, when I was watching the coverage of Katrina, where the reporters were actually saying, you know, this doesn't happen here. It happens in Haiti. They would say Haiti. They would say it happens in Mozambique, and there was this sort of this shock that this was happening here, and they would refer to it as though it should happen, as you were saying, in Haiti or any place at all. And the thing for me that was just incredible in that was that feeling of invisibility for the people that it was happening to. If I don't know if you recall, there was this huge debate about whether the people should be called refugees or whether they should be called, you know, and they were saying, why are they calling people refugees within their own country, and New Orleans, you know, and all of that was saying to me, it was that, you know, perhaps these worlds are closer than we think, and maybe the poor inhabit their own country, and it seemed to me that what Katrina, that whole experience showed, is that the poorest amongst us are as invisible in the richest country in the world as they are in the poorest countries in the world.
The thing is that everybody can be heard now. There are all kinds of citizen reporters, there are all kinds of this and that and whatever, but the consumer of the news has to really work harder than they've ever had to before to get it all done.